ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It is Monday, October 7th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is going to be 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. We got a lot to get into today. Not a good performance yesterday by the Cincinnati Bengals, but we got a winner on Saturday, the Thundering Herd getting it done against Appalachian State. We're going to hear a little bit later on from Coach Huff, his Monday press availability with the Sun Belt media. We've got his thoughts on what happened and what's to come for Marshall football as we turn the page, and now we're getting ready for Georgia Southern. This one means just as much to me as Appalachian State did last week. And I know that maybe the intensity isn't as prevalent as it is with App State. After all, Marshall and App State spent a lot of time together in the Southern Conference before the two parted ways. And now that Marshall is back in the Southern Sun Belt Conference, check that. Now that Marshall's back in the Sun Belt Conference and App State's an important member of that league, we get to see this matchup on a yearly basis, but I'm really excited for Georgia Southern this week. This one means as much to me as the App State matchup. So we're going to talk a lot about this one this week, but we got to recap what happened with the Herd on Saturday. There are a lot of things that we can talk about that were positive in the game. The one thing that maybe stands out to me right now is obviously just getting the offense going. Braylon Braxton, his first start, it was a high-scoring matchup. Marshall wins 52-37, and he accounted for 5 touchdowns, 3 passing and 2 rushing. And I thought Jordan Houston stood out as well. I thought Jaden Yates stood out. I thought Mike Green stood out. There were a lot of standouts in this game. We might have missed some on Saturday with our post game, so we'll get into that with you. Our text line this hour is going to be 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So there are a lot of positives to take away from this one. And, of course, Braylon Braxton, if you haven't heard, named the Sun Belt Conference's Offensive Player of the Week. I thought it was an impressive performance. 269 yards, and you know what? I hope he gets another opportunity. I really do. I know that's going to be difficult because now you have Stone Earl. I think he has grown into the position of being the Marshall starting quarterback. And also, I think if you look at this, Braylon Braxton finally getting a good opportunity to go out there, prove himself. And you put all of that together, and I think you've got a challenge now. I got to get these guys playing time is probably what you're going to hear from Coach Huff, and we'll hear what he thinks about that situation later on. But which one of these quarterbacks will get the majority of the snaps? Which one will get the majority of the starts? Or is it going to be a situational basis where, okay, we think – and again, that's kind of what happened early on. We were saying vocally, hey, Braylon, we want Braylon Braxton. And you got Stone Earl. And then Stone has really grown into that position. And so now we get Braxton. Okay, that was pretty good performance. And Coach Huff made a smart decision here. He made a smart decision. And Braxton accounted for 269 yards of total offense and accounted for 5 touchdowns. Didn't turn the ball over. Marshall produced its most points against an FBS opponent in the Sun Belt era. And this is the most since defeating FIU 52-0. That was back in 2005. And this is what we like as Marshall fans. I think that's fair. This is what we've been talking about. This is what we've been crying for. This is what the voices have been loud, screaming for. we want lots of points on the scoreboard. Well, you got lots of points on the scoreboard. Of course, the other side of this is you gave up 37 points. So how that's going to be addressed, I hope that Coach Huff will have an answer for that, because I don't know if you can just keep going out there and getting into shootouts. You got to have some defense. And honestly, to be fair, I think the Marshall defense played well. I think the Marshall defense held when it had to. I think the Marshall defense put the team in a position to win the game. I definitely don't have anything negative to say about how the defense performed this weekend. It's been a fun league this year. If you've been following the league, there are a lot of things that are going on. Like, for example, ULM beat James Madison 21-19 on national TV. And then you put on top of that a 13-9 win over two-time defending champion Troy. And here we go. ULM 2-0 in league play. ULM 2-0 in league play. I did not see that one coming. Watch out. They might be the team of the West. And then there's Texas State. Texas State gets its first win over Troy in 10 attempts. Beat Troy 38-17. So Texas State, a team we're going to talk about because of the interest expressed in the program to join one of the Western conferences looking to fill out its ranks. And so Texas State is going to be a team we get to talk about a lot. So all of a sudden, it might be ULM or Texas State coming out of the West. Don't forget about Louisiana, though. Snapped an 11-game losing streak against Southern Miss. Won 23-13. Quarterback Ben Woolridge completed 22 of 30 passes for 222 yards and a touchdown. And I thought they were good on defense as well. So Louisiana getting the win, getting it done. Arkansas State wins a close one, beat South Alabama 18-16. It was a late 34-yard field goal from Clune Van Andel. And the Red Wolves had a strong defense. 3 players recording double-digit tackles. And then finally, Coastal Carolina rallied from a 17-7 deficit to defeat Old Dominion 45-37. Keep an eye out for quarterback Ethan Vasco. He threw for 3 touchdowns. And Cameron Wright was top target there, 148 yards receiving. So some interesting scores coming from the league this weekend, especially. Again, ULM beating James Madison. That one is good right there. So App State gets beat. James Madison gets beat. Old Dominion gets beat. Those are important right there. And then you have Coastal Carolina winning. So Marshall right now 1-0 in league play. And there are some key teams that have taken losses here. Most importantly, App State and James Madison have losses. If Marshall can keep up the good work, we might be talking about an East Division championship. I know, I'm probably getting ahead of myself here. I know, we're just one game in. Hold up, Paul. Hold up. We're just one game in. I know what you're saying. I'm hearing it now. Hold up. One game in, and you're talking conference championship, East Division championship? Yeah, I'll slow my roll. But at the same time, I look at the league this weekend, and I look at how Marshall performed against App State, and I'm thinking, maybe this team's better than what we thought it was a few weeks ago. Maybe this team is a lot better than what we thought it was a few weeks ago. And it's not fair to hold Ohio State against Marshall. And I think that Marshall learned its lesson. And maybe a different Marshall team goes in and beats Virginia Tech. So I still feel good about where this team is right now. And I feel good about where the team is in conference, especially after beating App State. Here at home, it was homecoming. Great crowd, by the way. Over 28,000 showed up. So a great crowd on hand. It was beautiful weather. I thought we had a great game day. Your mileage may vary, but from where I was sitting, it looked good, and I thought we had a tremendous game to watch for homecoming. Let's go to our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. First up, Texter says, Paul, these next two games worry me. Georgia Southern is a tough place to play. Georgia State is a weeknight matchup. Georgia State beat Vanderbilt, who just beat Alabama. So Georgia State beat Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt beat Alabama. So I think Georgia State should be the group of 5 participant in the playoff if they win the championship. No, I don't think it works that way. No, I think Vanderbilt did a solid against Alabama, but I'm not looking at Georgia State right now. Not even close. It's Georgia Southern week. I'm not even going to look ahead to Georgia State. That's in the future. Georgia Southern is a tough opponent, and it's going to be a tough place to play for the Thundering Herd. But my attention is on Georgia. I'm coach speaking it now. We're on the Georgia Southern. Back to our text line. Texter says, Paul, I've been critical of Huff, so I have to give him props for finally giving Braxton a shot. It paid off big time. Coach doing that coaching, right? I thought that was smart on his part. I thought that was absolutely smart. I don't know if he suspected something, took a calculated risk, or knew that, okay, yes, and Coach Clark talked about, hey, we prepare for both quarterbacks. We know. He mentioned that earlier today on the conference call. We prepare for both quarterbacks. They got 2 talented, So I don't know if that's just coach speak or that caught them off guard a little bit. Maybe they focused a little bit more on Stone Earl, or just maybe they weren't as prepared as they could have been for Braxton. It worked. Either Braxton was just you couldn't have an answer for him. That's it. You just didn't have an answer for him. And they couldn't adjust to him. They couldn't figure him out. They couldn't find a way to stop him, slow him down. And so Marshall rolled with it. Good move, Coach Huff. Definitely getting it done, doing some coaching. Part of his job, right? He makes all that big money, he says. Back to our text line. Texter says, Paul, Georgia Southern beat Georgia State. And so, if you look at how this thing rolls out here, you look at how this thing rolls out. Right now in the standings, Georgia Southern's 1-0 in conference, 3-2. And Marshall's 1-0. Coastal Carolina is 1-0 as well. And you look at the schedule. It was a 38-21 win at Georgia State. So again, I'm not even thinking about Georgia State right now. I'm thinking about Georgia Southern. You look at Georgia Southern. They lost to Boise State. It was a 56-45 win by Boise State. They beat Nevada 20-17. They beat South Carolina State 42-14, and then they got hammered by Ole Miss 52-13. Took it out against Georgia State, won that one 38-21. And so here we are comparing schedules, and I'm really not into doing that right now. Because you look at Georgia State, okay, Georgia State lost at Virginia Tech 35-12. Beat Chattanooga 24-21. Chattanooga. Beat Vanderbilt 36-32. Georgia Southern, that was the loss, and then now they get ready for Old Dominion. So do we say, well, okay, because Georgia State beat Vanderbilt, and if Georgia State beat Vanderbilt and Vanderbilt beat Alabama and Georgia Southern beat Georgia State, which beat Vanderbilt, which beat Alabama, my head's going to start hurting because we're doing that now. We absolutely can't do that. It's not how this works. Also from the text line, texter says, Paul, do you think there will be another game this year with a better attendance than App State? Yeah, actually I do. I do. I think we can get it higher. There might have been more at that game if it wasn't for the. I hate to say it. I think the tragedy of the hurricane really impacted what the travel plans were for a lot of fans. They had to prioritize, and so they should. And we send our best to those folks. But I think that game might have had more. But you got a Thursday night game. Thursday night games surprise me sometimes. The crowds look really good, so those surprise me sometimes. And if ULM's coming in here pretty good, I'm thinking that might be a good game. I think, though, you might have, depending on how Marshall plays out the schedule, I think ULM could be close to that. I think Georgia State could be close to that. And most definitely, I think Coastal Carolina could be close to that as well. But App State's homecoming, I get it. It's a special time. But if Marshall keeps winning, and you got a few good matchups on the schedule coming up, I really think that maybe Marshall could hit where we're used to seeing Marshall hit, and 30,000. I know it's reduced capacity now, but still, I think 30,000 is possible. I will give Herd fans credit and say yes. I think that more attendance is possible, bigger crowds. I really do think that is possible. That's just not me, trying to be positive for positive sake. Texture says, still we hear country roads. The music at key moments is taking the fans out of the game. Third and fourth downs coming out of timeouts. Let the band play and let the fans have a minute to cheer or chant along with the band. Also, the press box still looks tired and needs pressure washed or just a new coat of white. I appreciate that text. I'm always a fan of having the college atmosphere. And so if there's more ways to work the band in, and let me be quite candid with you, and up front, there were years where I just thought, man, the Marshall band is miserable. Absolutely thought this is the best we can field as a university, the band, this is it. And so I thought for years, man, the band's been miserable. I think the band's getting better. I think the program's getting better. I think there are more students coming out. I want to see the band flourish, and I would like to see more activity from the band on game day, sure. But at the same time, I don't know what the general consensus is as far as the game day atmosphere. I mean, I have your take, but I don't know what that consensus is among other fans because, it could vary. Younger crowd might want the music, an older crowd might want the band, to be fair. But I do understand where you're coming from. And also, I'll say this. It never hurts to take a look at your facilities on a yearly basis. See what you can do, see what you can clean up. So, that's just general maintenance right there. I won't get into that too much. Also, from our text line, texter says, Paul, if we're going to do attendance that big again, Marshall needs more gates open and more concessions open. Lines to get into the stadium and get a drink were kind of crazy. So many closed gates. I heard about some of that, and me experiencing that this would not be a genuine stance from me to give you any hot take on that, to be fair, because I didn't go through it. I got in ahead of time, credentialed member of the media. I got in. I didn't go to concession stands. I was able to get to my seat, get to where I needed to be. I didn't have to wait. And so I didn't go through that experience, but I did hear about it. So is this a matter of fans showing up a little too late, or is it still just trying to get through the whole idea of, okay, this is how the process works? And I'm sure there are a lot of things that can be tweaked and fixed. And those are, again, questions that we'll probably have to address in the future with Ryan Crisp, fan engagement at Marshall University. He could probably give us a better answer, and I'm sure he's looking for that feedback as well. So hopefully we can get some feedback from him on that, if not this week, here in a future episode. So points are noted. Concessions, obviously, lines in the stadium, things like that. So we can talk to him about that in the future. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Yesterday was not my day as a Bengals fan. It was a shootout in Cincinnati. The Bengals and the Ravens went back and forth. It was, I thought, a thrilling game, but in the end, it was a big run and a clutch field goal that sealed the game. Time for your Bengals Rewind. It was another tough Sunday for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals as they fell 41-38 in overtime to the Baltimore Ravens. Both offenses were on fire, trading touchdowns for most of the game. But in the end, a 24-yard field goal by Justin Tucker was the difference. The Bengals jumped out to a strong start thanks to Joe Burrow, who tossed a season-high 5 touchdown passes. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase both came up big, combining for 4 of those scores. Burrow connected with Chase in the second quarter to take the lead.
Burrow ready for the shotgun snap. Moss lines up to his right. It's a fake to Moss. Burrow with time. Fires deep downfield for Chase. He's got it! Yeah. Touchdown!
Baby.
Bengals!
Yeah.
The Ravens responded quickly with Lamar Jackson finding Rashad Bateman in the end zone.
Lamar in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Bengals bringing blitz pressure. Lamar running to the right. Fires complete. Bateman has it in the 10. He's in. Touchdown Ravens.
The Bengals defense also had its moments early in the second quarter. Sam Hubbard tackled Derrick Henry in the end zone for a safety, giving Cincinnati some breathing room.
The Ravens line up in an formation. It's a safety.
Yeah.
They tackle Derrick Henry.
Nice.
Sam Hubbard tackles the king in the end zone.
Cincinnati led by 10 points 3 times, but each time Lamar Jackson brought the Ravens back. In the third quarter, Jackson found Isaiah Likely for one of his 4 touchdown passes on the day.
Lamar in the shotgun. Lamar bobbles the snap. Has to pick it up off the turf. He's being chased. Corralled, stiff arms a man, Sam Hubbard, and finally slings in the back of the end zone. Touchdown! Isaiah Likely! Oh my!
Jackson's poise kept Baltimore in the game, but Cincinnati had their chances late. After Lamar Jackson fumbled in overtime, Jermaine Pratt recovered, setting up what could have been the game-winning field goal.
Snap is on target, kick is on the way. It is no good! And sudden death continues in Cincinnati.
But Bengals kicker Evan McPherson missed from 53 yards after a fumbled snap, giving the Ravens another opportunity. From there, Derrick Henry's 51-yard run set up Justin Tucker for the game-winning kick.
Justin Tucker from 24 yards to win it. Tucker's kick is up. It is good! And the Ravens have won in overtime in Cincinnati.
The Bengals will look to bounce back next Sunday night when they head to New York to face the Giants. As for the Ravens, they'll host the Washington Commanders as they improve to 3-2. I'm Paul Swann, and that's your Bengals Rewind.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's winds blowing across a fruited plain, and also your new fire pit, which subsequently sets your gazebo ablaze. It's hard-hitting football, and an even harder-hitting price estimate from your general contractor. That's a star-spangled bummer. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Hey, Tri-State, there is a place to shop at. The Huntington's Peddlers Mall is now open in the historic Central City District in Huntington. Over 200 vendors specializing in vintage antiques, home decor, furniture, collectibles, new mattresses, and everything in between. Peddlers Mall, located 800 14th Street West in Huntington. It's the place to go. Open 7 days a week. Visit anytime. Check out the website, peddlersmall.com, for more information. It's the Tri-State place to shop, Huntington's Peddlers Mall.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union has been serving the Huntington community for 70 years and is proud to announce our newest location in Lavalette is now open. Wayne County residents, you now have access to a modern banking facility, a full range of services, advanced technology, expert financial advice, and even a smart coffee kiosk cafe. Learn more about Metro Community Federal Credit Union online at metrocommunityfcu.com or visit us today on 5th Street Road.
Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year again, football season. Frank's has you covered from Marshall, WVU, the rest of college football to the NFL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
In the heart of everyday life, where engines roar and steel meets earth, the quiet heroes rise with the dawn. These are the builders, the fixers, the unsung masters of trades that forge the backbone of America. At Collins Career Technical Center, we offer 6 trades programs to launch you into a rewarding new career. With convenient scheduling and financial aid options, your path awaits. Discover how at collins-cc.edu. Get skilled, get hired, and get ahead with Collins Career Technical Center.
Did you know that Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities provides top-notch services designed to support individuals with developmental disabilities to more than 500 Lawrence County residents? From helping children develop to their fullest potential to helping adults live in the community, Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities sees the ability in every disability. Learn more about Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities at lawrencecountydd.org.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Now, tomorrow is going to be the big presser. We'll get a chance to spend at least 30 minutes or so with Coach Huff as we get set for Marshall and Georgia Southern coming up this weekend. We'll have the game for you live. We go on the air at 5 o'clock. We're going to be down at Giovanni's for our pregame coverage this weekend. So if you're looking for a place to hang out, get a bite to eat, watch the game, Giovanni's 20th Street is going to be your place. Or if you just want to get takeout and take it home, again, Giovanni's 20th Street is going to be your place to get your pizza. I'm thinking Wednesday pizza for me. Start a hockey season officially across the board. There's going to be, I think, multiple games on. And we got baseball playoffs as well. We got a lot going on. So I'm thinking this week it might be Giovanni's week for all the sports happenings. And, of course, it's going to be your place to go for game day if you're looking for a place to stay. Giovanni's 20th Street. That's where we're going to be 5 o'clock on Saturday for our pregame. Marshall taking on Georgia State. So had a chance to be a part of the presser early today, the Zoom call, Coach Huff and the media. And first up, question about on what stands out about Georgia Southern.
Yeah, well, one, I think they're well coached. Coach Helton, I got a lot of respect for him. He's been doing this for a long time. He and I were battling way back in the Big Ten days when he was at USC and I was at Penn State and played in the Rose Bowl. Offensively, they've always been very complex, which stresses your defense. There's a lot of motion and shifts and tempo, a lot of things that you not necessarily can prepare for and practice just because of the speed of it. I always think their quarterbacks do a really good job of understanding the scheme. They put their players in a really good position to make plays. And then they got some guys who can, do something with the ball after they catch it. So from an offensive perspective, it makes it a challenge. And then defensively, I think they're very stout up front. They got some really big bodies. I think their defense coordinator does some really impressive things on third down, kind of with their blitz packages and making sure you're pointed the right way. And you got enough hats to block the guys. It's not always conventional, meaning, hey, just because it shows rotation right or left, it's coming from the right or left. I think they do a good job coaching those defensive guys because week to week it kind of changes a little bit and they're able to execute it with high efficiency.
Next up, Coach Huff talked about Braxton's performance against App State, and let's just keep this in mind. This was a situation where you've got a couple of quarterbacks now. You are able to switch them out if need be, and that's going to throw a few wrinkles. I know Coach was very excited about the result on Saturday. So when he was asked about his performance in the win over App State, he talked about what led to that situation, including some long-term preparation that went into the game plan. And he did credit Braylon for making the most of his opportunity.
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job. We have been kind of preparing for this game all the way back in the summer, just because we felt like App State was a really good opponent. You guys picked them to win the national championship, so we felt like we had to be prepared. So we were, anytime we got an opportunity to get some extra work in from a scheme perspective and get the players exposed to it, we did that. App State was our first conference opponent, and some of the things they do offensively and defensively were the first time we saw them all season. The front they play in defense, we hadn't seen that front, up until that game. So we had to get some extra days in of preparing for it because it is a little different. And then Braylon, I thought he did a really good job. We kind of had a plan to use him in some series in some certain situations, and kind of like we say, whatever is working, we kind of try to stick with. And he got the hot hand. I thought the players around him did a really good job. Whenever you're getting long runs and those type of things, usually you're getting really good blocking on the perimeter. I thought our tight ends and wideouts did a really good job of blocking on the perimeter. I thought our O-line did a good job of keeping rush lanes clear so that he could step up when he needed to or take off when he needed to. And then I thought our receivers did a good job of getting in vision. Sometimes you can run a route, but you got to be in the quarterback's vision and timing of that. So I thought Coach Dagey and the offensive staff did a really good job of preparing Braylon and Stone. They were kind of all kind of ready to go. And then obviously Cole as well. And it sounds difficult, but when your system is simple but adjustable, you don't have to really teach 3 different game plans. You just say, hey, here are the plays that we like, and then each guy has a certain set of those plays. A lot of them are crossover plays. So I felt really good. I was really happy for Braylon. He's been being a phenomenal teammate, waiting his turn without knowing when his turn was coming. And he did what you're supposed to do. He took advantage of the opportunity and puts us in a situation where we've got to continue to find ways to play good players. I tell players all the time, it's your job to make it tough on the coaches to find ways to play as many good players as we can. And I thought he did a good job of that this week.
And finally, from Coach Huff, he talked about the challenge of Georgia Southern, what they present with their ability to create big plays, especially for the secondary. And he also explained what the defense needs to clean up heading into the game.
Yeah, I think that's some of the things we got to get cleaned up. Some of those opportunities to throw the ball were created by us creating penalties and keeping them on the field and giving them different field position. We've got to eliminate those. You can't play defense and give teams 15 yards, pass interferences and those type of things. We got to do a much better job of playing the ball in the air. There were a couple opportunities where we knock some balls down or we get in front of some balls and we don't catch them. So that changes a little bit of the course of action. And then we got to do a better job of understanding, kind of when teams get in a situation where the scorer may say, hey, I need to throw, we got to kind of shift our mindset a little bit. The good ones like a Georgia Southern have the ability to still run the ball effectively, even though the scoreboard may say, hey, you got to throw. So it keeps you kind of in limbo. But I think our DBs and our secondary are up for the challenge. They were not happy with their performance. Actually, no one on the team was, because we felt like, that's no disrespect to an opponent, but we just felt like there were opportunities that we could have played better. And that's the goal. It's not to beat one team or another. It's to go out and play the best we possibly can every Saturday, especially in the defensive backfield. They felt like there were some plays left out there that they could have made to change a little bit of the outcome.
That's Coach Huff earlier today during his media availability. We'll have more with him coming up tomorrow. We'll get back to your text in just a moment. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I'm your host, Paul Swann. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% to help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, John Garden, 304-525-1116. And in Barbersville, Marcia Slater, 304-736-6100.
At Poca Valley Bank, a handshake can still mean the start of a great relationship. We've been greeting customers with a handshake since 1908. Why settle for less? If you're purchasing your first home or planning for your future, Poca Valley Bank is here to support you with personalized service and local expertise. They are your trusted advisors. Why settle for less when you can experience banking with a team that truly cares? Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Welcome to Staples, young man.
Tomorrow's my big day.
Big day?
First grade.
Aw. Well, Staples has crayons, markers, glue.
I need a laptop.
Oh, yeah, sure. With Staples Hot Deals, you can save up to $300 on select PCs for school.
Wait. The finances are Mom's department.
Right.
I'm looking for performance, like a Core i7 processor.
Boy, first grade has really changed.
Tell me about it.
Save big on tech for school with super low Staples Hot Deals. Right now, get up to $300 off select PCs at Staples. Ends 8/24.
Fall is the best time to plant trees. MonPower and Potomac Edison are here with tips to help you plant smart. Let shade trees lower your electric bills. Carefully positioned trees can reduce a home's energy consumption for heating and cooling by up to 25%. For more tree planting tips, visit FirstEnergyCorp.com. This message sponsored by First Energy, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and the station.
Hello, treasure hunters. Have you been to Sue's Junk and Antique Mall? The largest antique mall in the tri-state. It just keeps getting bigger and better. With over 250 vendors, their inventory changes every day, so there's always something new to discover. Shop at Sue's for household items, antiques, knives, jewelry, furniture, and more. And don't forget their online sale on Facebook every Monday at 6 p.m. Sue's Junk and Antique Mall, 459 Camden Road, Huntington, West Virginia, where our odds and ends become your favorite gems. At Sue's Junk and Antique Mall.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Let's get our text line going again, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Texter says, Paul, until they get the entry to game cleaned up, there won't be higher attendance. One whole gate designated for the suites saw not one person use it in 10 minutes. That was a major complaint after the game. Appreciate that text. I don't know what the answer is going to be because of what security is telling Marshall, or Marshall is being told by other parties, or how this dynamic works. So I will profess a little ignorance on this because I'm just not there in the inner workings. But if it's possible, I would hope that you could open up a little bit more when it comes to access points to get into the stadium. I mean, after all, this is a stadium that was designed to handle about 30,000 fans back in 1991. And so we're seeing under 30,000 fans. Now, times have changed, obviously, and of course we've got the fencing up now, and you got to go through these points to get screened so you can come in. And stadiums across the country are handling this pretty commonly. And so, what is the trial and error portion of this going to look like for the next few weeks? Because if it's a long wait to get in to the stadium and you get there early, how patient will fans be? I'm sure that's going to be a big question, a big concern, if not already. Because honestly, who likes to stand around in a line? I don't. I really don't like standing around. And if you get there early and you're still standing around in a line, I'm sure that's going to frustrate a lot of folks. And again, I can't say for certain why the configuration is the way it is and how it can change and how it can be made better to make sure that fans can get in, get processed, and at the same time, everybody's in their seats well before kickoff. And concessions, I'm sure concessions are that's always something I hear about, concessions. And I don't know what the quick fix is to that. From our text line, texter says, Paul, just tell people to just come a little earlier. I've never had an issue coming in an hour before. I appreciate that text. And Marshall did tell people this, hey, look, we're going to open the gates up 2 hours early. So 2 hours before the game, we're going to start opening up the gates. And that's changed. It was, I believe it was 90 minutes prior, but now it's 2 hours before the game. So that's one thing that I think a lot of Herd fans may or may not know is the gates open 2 hours early. Now, is this an issue? And again, I'm not there, so I'm depending on you to help me out here. There's a rush toward the end to get in? Okay, hey, we got 15, 20 minutes till kickoff. Okay, we better get in there. Or are people genuinely getting slowed down and they're there at least an hour and a half, 2 hours? I can't answer that one fairly, but I've heard it from both sides now. From our text line, texter says, Paul, also, you can't leave and go to your car at halftime unless you purchase a second ticket. Well, I know that one. I appreciate the text on that one because that's the new process. Yeah, because you have to be re-screened, and the only way you can be screened is with a ticket. You have a ticket, you're admitted to the game. You have to go through the screening process. Now, if you leave, the only way to come back in is with another ticket. And for some people who have a couple of tickets, maybe they've got a spare, they're going to do that. But that's going to be the new policy from this point forward. It's just not going to change because you have to be screened. You can't just have the pass out. Okay, I'm going to go in to the game and then I'm going to go with the pass out. I don't know how they logistically manage all of that with the systems in place. It's not like the Pumpkin Park where I go to the Pumpkin Park on Sunday and I've got my Pumpkin Park guest pass here. Hey, thanks. Okay, would you like a hand stamp, sir, so you can go back to your car? Yes, I would. And I did that. I walked back to the vehicle, put something in the vehicle, and came back. And nobody screened me coming into the Pumpkin Park. Nobody screened me re-admitting myself. But I'm not being screened either. That's probably the big takeaway with, okay, hand stamp, he leaves, he comes back, we get a hand stamp, we know he's already paid for admission. That's one way, but they're not screening me. Here at Marshall, they're screening now. Also from our text line, texter says, Paul, there's not enough detectors. The line almost reached 20th Street, and this was 30 minutes before kick. I don't know how expensive those detectors are either, to be fair. So I don't know if more are coming, if the process is slow because it's new, to be fair, but at the same time, if you don't have that many points of entry, you're going to have lines. Obviously, This is a work in progress. I'm trying to be fair at the same time, realize, because, again, some of you are saying, hey, we got in early, we're fine. Others are saying, hey, we've had to wait a while. So I didn't go through the system, so I'm depending on you, and I appreciate everyone helping me out on this one. One more before we hit the break. This is actually football related. Texter says, Paul, Marshall's offensive coordinator deserves credit for getting Marshall out to an early lead. It helps the defense if you have a lead and the confidence of the offense. I agree with that completely. If you start fast, I agree with what Coach Huff had to say. If you start fast, if you put pressure on the other team, that's going to put you in a different situation. And he also said that App State, their defense, they play well with a lead. Well, guess what? Their defense didn't have that lead to play with. And so Coach Huff was on point last week with everything. He talked about the game, and give him credit. Hell of a game plan. Let's take our final break. We come back. We'll get more of your text in, and you can do so 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And again, anything is fair game. Text lines open rest of the way here on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's winds blowing across a fruited plain, and also your new fire pit, which subsequently sets your gazebo ablaze. It's hard-hitting football, and an even harder-hitting price estimate from your general contractor. That's a star-spangled bummer. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Now is the time to add on a new bathroom or remodel your old one with the latest up-to-date bathroom fixtures from Mutual Wholesalers, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Come in today to Mutual Wholesalers' beautiful showroom and see how your new bathroom will look. Check out Acre by Max. Have a new bathroom this year. Mutual Wholesalers, locally owned and operated, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Call 304-525-9118.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the Tri-State. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kitty Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year again, football season. Frank's has you covered from Marshall, WVU, the rest of college football to the NFL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Invest in yourself and your future at KFB, the Better Bank. From our FDIC insured student savings account to our wealth management department, KFB has a service for every walk of life. At KFB, we are dedicated to giving you the best service in the Tri-State. Visit us at www.kfb.bank. to find out how we can help you invest in yourself and your future. KFB, the Better Bank, located in Ashland, Summit, Catlettsburg, Louisa, and Wheelersburg. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, it's Big John here. You looking for a smile transformation? 36 years of experience. Who has that? Thompson Orthodontics does, and they're going to offer personal orthodontic care, traditional braces. How about a flexible payment arrangement just for you? And they'll bill all insurance and West Virginia Medicaid. Experience the friendly, fun atmosphere and meet the amazing staff. My daughter Ruby had to have braces. That's where we went. She has a perfect smile, and I'm telling you, it's just a phone call away. Visit Thompson Orthodontics online at yoursmilingfaces.com today. Tell them Big John sent you.
At home or at work, in the car or at the gym, there's nothing more convenient than the fast service and the quality products brought to you by Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee. If you're always on the go with family, friends, coworkers, and business associates, give Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee a chance. They have everything that you need, from filtration coolers, coffee for your work, at-home delivery, and 8-ounce, 10-ounce, and half-liter bottles, or by the pallet. Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee, where great taste just comes naturally. Visit us at tylermountainwater.com.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to our Monday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. You should have that programmed into your phone by now. If you don't, go ahead. I'll wait. Go ahead. Do it now. Let's get back to our text line. Texter says, Paul, my wife and I noticed the long lines at the 50-yard line entrance on the west lot. We went to the 10-yard line entrance nearest 4th and a half alley and walked right in. So maybe you got to spread out a little bit more. Everybody's trying to hit the same entrance. That could be a valid point right there. So maybe this week, if you see a line long somewhere, you go into the next entry point and see how that works out. Because I don't think you don't have to come through like a designated gate. I don't think, other than you've got the one gate that's there for the suites, but other than that, I don't believe so. Again, this might be a good time since we've got the week off from home and the Herds on the road. And honestly, we probably should brush up on this one more time since we've got the midweek game coming up, and that's going to be a challenge in itself. So lines, concessions, everything that needs to be tweaked, we'll definitely go over it. As far as the concessions are concerned, I know we're talking about the lines going into the stadium, but as far as concessions are concerned, is it just because there are not enough points of sale, or what is it? What's the holdup on the concession? So I understand a little bit better. Is it because maybe just the concourse is not big enough? And again, that's we're going back to then this place opened in 1991. So, what's the big holdup there when it comes to things like concessions? What's the biggest point of friction? I'm curious. And again, you can tell me all week if you want. If you're listening to the show on the delay, you can message that in. Again, it's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So I'm getting mixed messages here. Certain gates are going to be better, certain gates are not going to be better. And again, I got to depend on you all for this because I'm fortunate and I'm blessed to be afforded the opportunities I have, and that means I got to go right in with a media credential and head up to the box, and as someone who covers the team, I got a different way to enter than you do, and I don't have to go through the friction. So I got to depend on you to tell me what's happening here, because again, this is your show. We talk about what's important to you, what matters to you. So nothing is ever truly restricted. That's why the text line is always open for you. Hey, thanks for doing it today with me. I appreciate it. We're going to be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 as we start ramping up for the week. We got Coach Huff tomorrow. We'll have some player interviews. Wednesday, I've got a couple of special interviews lined up that I'm working on. And so we'll get you set for the game this week between Marshall and Georgia Southern. Don't forget, if you missed any part of the show today, you want to go back, hear what I said or what some of the texters said, you can do so by listening on our podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You can also go to our website and you can download the app. It's available at WRVC.com. That's going to do it for this edition of the show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC W231BS Huntington.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Mike Nolting. In Charleston, the Senate passed a 2% cut to the personal